Hey everyone, this is Akash from CloudyML, and today we have Lavanya with us. She is a data scientist at Gojek, and she has done her BTech in electronic engineering, and she's 2021 pass out. So today we are going to discuss with her journey of data science, how did preparation, and some tips which you can get from her to make your career in data science. So Lavanya, can you please introduce yourself, and then we'll get going with questions.
Yeah, I think you've already introduced me. Again, my name is Lavanya M. I graduated last year. I did um, engineering in electronics and communication branch, and currently I work at Gojek as data scientist.
Okay, so Lavanya, when did you come across machine learning or data science first time?
Yeah, so I am from electronics and communication branch, as I just mentioned, and I'm very bad with circuits. I think if there's one thing I'm bad at, then that has to be electronics. So I was not interested in it at all in my college days. So I would just do little programming stuffs in my semester holidays or in my free time because I was more into it. So I would learn everything from HTML to Java, but I would not finish everything. I would just learn, like just get an idea about it. I would just Google courses and try. While doing this, I did see machine learning name pop here and there, but I thought it has something to do with machines, something like electronics. So I never bothered like doing it. But in my sixth semester, one of my professor gave me a few research papers and was like, "Can you read them and let me know what you understood from that?" So it turns out it was computer vision research papers, and they were very futuristic. And that's when I started uh, looking more into what machine learning is. And yeah, it's been great. The applications are vast. It made me realize how I'm using it every single day and what the future holds for it. So that's when I first came across it.
And what is the something you made, like the first product you can say using machine learning? Some small application. Like
I think my first product was it's not a product, but it's a little
yeah.
tiny project, which is sentiment analysis with Karuna tweet sentiment analysis.
Okay, and you did this using
Um, like, what do you mean?
from where did you first collect the data, and then how
Twitter. We pulled the data from there
from the
and
Twitter API, right?
API. And when I was in college, also like I had done my final year project on it, but it was based on a research paper and was nothing own.
And you did use some advanced algorithms like transformer, but or you just did simple some ML
Yeah,
algorithm?
everything was pretty simple, just very basic linear regression, classification, just basic algorithms, logistic regression, decision tree, nothing very complex like SVM and all.
Okay. So, like, what were your expectations? Like, how the work of a data scientist would be in real life,
Yeah.
and how does it contrast to what you actually got to do in your job?
Yeah. So when I was preparing for my data science interviews, and when I was doing that, I did have some friends who were in data science field. So like I had like some clue, but I could not envision it. Like they would tell me like, the real world data is way messier than what you get on Kaggle or the clean data sets that you get on internet to practice on. But I could not envision how complicated that could be. And they would tell me like learn SQL. It's very, very important. That's where, that's like your bread and butter. So you have to be very thorough with it. But I could not envision it. I focused more on just algorithms, machine learning algorithms, libraries. So that's something I found it very contrasting because at in initial stages we wouldn't really think about how to get the data because there are so many sources which provide us very clean data. For example, Kaggle, compared to what it's there in real life. So yeah, in real life sometimes we have to create our own features with the data present. We have to clean it, and just getting the data to Jupyter Notebook can be a task.
If I ask you to quantify, like in your entire data science life cycle, how much percentage of effort is put in data cleaning? What would you say?
When I was learning data science, I would say it was not much because I used sort of clean data. But once I started working, I got to know how different it is. I would say it's like uh, 60%. around 60%. That includes like feature creation and seeing if the feature works or not and everything.
So please tell, like, when you, like, obviously you didn't get a job from campus, right, for this. So what was the process? Like, it, you can start from telling how your learning journey started. Okay, then how you started applying to jobs and ultimately cracking one of them.
Yeah, I think the key contributor to me getting a data science job is, the people associated with it, be it my friends, my college professor, and everyone. Like, I would reach out for help, like, rather than just, I did not have a structure in the beginning, so I would just learn whatever is interesting at the moment. So later, I started asking people, like, do you think, the structure is good or not? So that's where I think that had the most impact. And I started with Python. I did it, like, I spent at least like 2 months on it. I did it like start to end, including all the libraries. Then I started moving towards SQL, and parallelly, I was also learning machine learning algorithms. And I did do math, but I did not go very deep into it. But I think the more I did try learning math before doing my algorithms, but I could not like relate to it, like where it's being used. But once I started using those algorithms, I could realize, like, hey, this is why we would do transformation, or this is where the outliers would affect, or the distribution of data can affect our model in this way because we are using this algorithm, and how the algorithm works under the hood. Yeah.
Okay, and this is your learning journey. Now, when you start applying job, it's again a different game itself. How, where, which all platforms you used, how you build your resume. Okay, what are the contents you put in the resume so that it got shortlisted in different companies?
Yeah, so I used mostly open source, uh, to learn machine learning, be it W3 schools or YouTube, Coursera, or like small, tiny Udemy courses, which are like way smaller than many, courses that are being available these days. And I also like did read blogs and few interview questions so I can get an idea about what can be asked in interview. I think just doing projects has helped me the most, like looking at the code that others have written on Kaggle. That helped me because I could see something that others have done which I might have never thought by myself. So looking at that gave me a direction, like, hey, this, this thing is possible, I can do this.
Like for me, when I was doing, right, initially I just used to go to Kaggle. I had no clue what to do. I just used to see other notebook. I was from I in initial 10 days I just look notebook other people what they are doing just to understand how it works. Yeah.
I think that's really important. Like looking at others' code is very, very important. That's what I've learned. There's so much we can learn from others, especially in the beginning stages, because we would be a little clueless, and it will be a really nice, way to know how people are thinking and what's possible, what have people done so far. Yeah.
So I came to know from your LinkedIn profile that you write blogs. So could you please tell what kind of blogs do you write?
So I write blogs, but I do take a lot of help from AI for this.
Okay.
So what I do is like there is a website called Copy AI which generates a nice prompt for you to build on top of it. So I use that to get a starting idea and I build upon that. And it does like provide you with like good starting line and conclusion. You just have to give it the keywords and everything. So I use that to write my logs. That makes it more like interesting than what I would come up with naturally, or I would come up with it naturally, but it would take more time. So this like cuts down my time by a lot. And also on Grammarly there are like ways in which you can focus your content to be like what you want it to sound in a certain way. Then you can select those options. So I do that also. And even during my assignments I used to use GPT-3 to write them. Like, yeah, I was learning it parallelly and using it on the other side.
So this is an example of practical machine learning, how machine learning is changing your life.
Yeah, like it's there everywhere. And also like I have very small attention span, like very, very small attention span. So I watch videos at 1.5x or 1.7x speed, and I really need those captions. because I have to focus on what's going on. So I use that caption generator and silence cutter. So it's like removes silence from the videos.
So in the blogs, if like you generated using AI, so how you give your touch to that?
So so when I do that, like, it's just the starting intro and the extra that I would take the inspo from that. So what I would do is like I would give it some keywords and what sentiment it has to portray, or what kind of uh, creativity level and the level of words it has to portray. Like, does it have to be complex, or who can understand it kind. So I would use that to get the starting part, and on top of that I'll build my own, and the conclusion I would get from that.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if I feel like I'm not properly able to put the thoughts that are in my head in words properly, I would just write like whatever is there in my head, I would just scribble it. And then I would go on Grammarly or like other websites and try to, modify it and, rephrase it in a way that it would sound good.
Okay. And Lavanya, many people have this question: as a fresher, what is the salary we can get? So can you tell a range? Like you have given multiple interviews. What's the range a company is offering to a fresher?
Normally, companies offer anything between 6 to 12 LPA for fresher and data science.
Okay. And what all platforms you applied to get job?
I applied on everything I could get.
Okay.
LinkedIn. Like I would just install like apps from Google Play. I would like whatever is there. I would just apply on everything. Yeah.
Still, you can say some names so that our viewers can look out for those platforms and apply jobs there.
Glassdoor, LinkedIn, and Monster, High Direct.
Direct.
Yeah, that would.
Naukri.
I don't use Naukri. That's
Actually,
one.
on contrary, most of the people use Naukri only.
I don't use the spam, so I don't use that. And yeah, that's it. And also referrals work a lot. And apart from that, like I got my first 2 job interviews through LinkedIn posts. Like I would post on LinkedIn and someone saw that and they're like, hey, I think you'll be a good fit for a company. Would you like to?
How much followers you had that time when you made a post on LinkedIn from where you got?
I do not know.
Still
I don't,
1,000 or below 1,000.
I think below 1,000. I still have below 1,000.
So even if you are at a below 1,000, you can still make a post on LinkedIn and expect someone to reach out to you.
I think social media plays a huge role in landing a job, or like putting yourself out there, especially if you're not coming from a campus. Like if you're not through campus placement, social media, blogs and everything really put you, like they put you out there so people can look at your work. It's like sort of a proof of work. And having great Kaggle profile and GitHub profile really helps, because you can showcase your work, you can collaborate with people, you can ask reviews with your friends or anyone on LinkedIn. I'm sure there are so many people who will be willing to help. So you can give it to them and ask like, what do you think about it? And coming to resume, I used Novo Resume to build my resume, and I put my projects. I did 2 supervised learning projects, which is one classification, one regression, and one unsupervised learning project. This is what I put in my resume. But apart from that, I had done quite a few more, like EDA ones and just
So
small assignment levels.
you didn't get this question like you don't have any experience. People generally get this problem. How did you tackle it?
I surprisingly never got the question about I had an experience, but yeah, I think the key is to be confident and do as many case studies as possible. That really gives you a perspective of what goes into data science as a field, because when we start doing it, we only look at it in a way that, oh, we have some data, we're going to put it into a model, we have standard evaluation metrics, and it's deployed. But that's what we think. But in real life, it's way more than that. Like maybe they have some custom evaluation metrics, and they have some ways of getting the data into it, or there could be so many nooks and crannies that we wouldn't think are without knowing about the company. So case studies really helped me out. I did case studies on Netflix, Uber pooling, and recommendation systems. So that really helped me out.
So
It
what are the case
helps.
studies you built on Netflix and Uber?
I did not build them, but I read. There were like there are many blogs present, so I would just Google and read about it, so I can get an idea about what a product is, how to approach a product, or what are the components that can go into it.
So the projects you have put on your CV, that is something you would have put on your GitHub so that recruiter can go there and read your code or something like that.
Yeah. I would always link my projects to my GitHub. And having a good GitHub page is very, very important. I also used to make cheat sheets, which I would upload on my GitHub. So that would help me revise. And even my friends, if I share them, they could also use that.
And how important is to have a good Kaggle profile?
I think it's important. It's a really nice way to get noticed. I think in this era, we are not bound to a area, right? Because I'm in Bangalore doesn't mean I can only get hired in Bangalore. I can get hired anywhere. Anyone, you are somewhere else and we are talking to each other. So I think in this era of internet, anyone can reach us out. So being able to put your work in as many places as possible is really good. You never know which who's looking at it and who might give you a call or who might want to collaborate with you. So I feel like it is important. Kaggle is a nice place. You can meet other data scientists, other people who are enthusiastic about it.
Okay. And how did you find referrals? You told, right, referral works very well. So one is to through our friends and family you can get referrals. And how
Yeah.
to go beyond that if somebody doesn't have any network?
Yeah. So what I did was when I was in sixth semester of my engineering, that's when I started like my machine learning journey. I think by seventh sem, I started reaching out to people, either be it my friends. I would just ask them like, do you know anyone in your office who's working on machine learning? Can you put me in contact with them? Because at that point, I did not even know how to collaborate with other people. So I would just watch them work. So, and I would ask them tips like, would you give me any tip or any skill that I should focus more on or any thing I should, not stress more about? So I would do that. I would ask people like, hey, can you put me in touch with anyone who's in machine learning field? Or even I have some amazing friends. They are not into machine learning field, but they're curious about it. So I would talk to them about different, concepts of machine learning and how it's being used and how our data is being used, how is it taken. That's something we bonded over. And also, I'm from Bangalore, so there is a startup founder everywhere. I do have a friend who's a startup founder, a couple of them. So I would talk to them like, hey, if you had to use machine learning in your product, how would you do it? And like, yeah, that really helped me out. I reached out. Like, also, there are meetups that go on. The thing is, like, you have to actively seek out and attend them and be open to suggestions, criticism, and just like reach out to them. I think that is the biggest part. Just reaching out to them. Also on LinkedIn, we can reach out. That also works.
Have you tried on LinkedIn reaching out to people you don't know to ask
Yeah,
for
I
it?
did. I did. When I first created my profile, I would send my connection to everyone. So I think that helped me a lot because the posts on LinkedIn are really good. Depends on the people that you follow, obviously. And yeah, I learned so much. Like people, even you do post interview prep questions, right, of different companies. So that also gives us an idea like, oh, this can be asked. So that really
What is the
helps.
most difficult question you were asked in an interview?
I think the most difficult question I was asked so far now was related to case study. They were like, it was something like you had to build this XYZ product. Then how would you do it? So I had to go from base to like the end point, like how would I actually build it? And building a product has a lot of like we might not think about all flaws in it, but they do catch it and they're like, hey, how would you fix this flaw? What would you do? What would your approach be towards it?
Okay, suppose you are going for an interview today and you have just 1 hour to prepare for. What are the things you will quickly revise?
Yeah, I first would like this is what I had done during my interviews also. First, start with Python and libraries, like just the important questions. and or just read a blog. Like you can just search on Google like uh, top interview questions in NumPy or Python or whatever, depending on your time, how much you have. Read those questions, then get in with the algorithms. Just look at the algorithm and how does it work, what are the pros of it, what are the cons of it, and does it need any transformation, while we are feeding data into it. Do we have to take care of it? Do we have to log transform, or do we have to remove outliers or something? Like look at that. And yeah, do that for both classification and regression algorithms. Have some basic understanding about unsupervised learning algorithms, and what it is. And apart from that, I would say the biggest thing is like know about the company, what products are they working on, um, what is going on in the company. And also you can Google the interview questions that are being asked by the company. Like you can just Google like on Glassdoor or something, and you can just prepare those. And also I think having an understanding about what the company is, what products are they building, is a huge plus, because there's a good chance that they might ask questions related to that product.
Correct. So, like nowadays, people from who have never done coding in their life, they are worried like how much coding would be required. So, can you put some light on this? Like, if someone who has never done in coding in life and he wants to make a career in data science, what are the things he should take care of?
Yeah, I think the first and foremost thing is do not be intimidated and do not be afraid. It's a skill. It takes some time to build, and it is very possible to build it. It does not have a lot of coding, to be honest. You just have some libraries, like 3, 4 of them that you have to, use to get the results. But it's very doable. It does not have a lot of coding. You don't have a lot of, data structures and everything. It does not have the typical CS. Um, Data structures and algorithms thing, so you're good. It's not very scary. It's very buildable. And if someone is from non-tech, non-CS background, I think they can use their domain knowledge, in the fields. Data science is very accommodating. No matter what knowledge that you have, it can be used in the project. So do not be intimidated. And it's not very hard to learn. You just have to um, try a bit and try to understand and get a mentor. I think having a mentor would be very, very helpful, because they would like sort of guide on what path to go on, and what to do next. And if you're doing something wrong, they'll help you out. And if you have any doubts, they'll help you out. And if you're doing if you are confused about something, or if you're doing a project, you need a vision, then you can reach them out. I think that will like save a lot of time, and it'll help you a lot, because there are some things we wouldn't think by ourselves, but because they have experience, they would know about it.
And if I ask the same thing about the math part, what are the topics you need in math?
Yeah. I would say learn statistics, just the distributions and some probability theory, because distributions do matter a lot. Do learn that, some integration and everything, but you don't have to go very in depth. Just linear regression and how does it work and everything. It's not IIT level. It's no JE. It's pretty easy. You don't have to be worried about it. There are many YouTube videos on, ex- how to understand them, explaining them in a very, very layman terms and from data science perspective. It should not be that hard. And to be honest, I did face a little issue with the math part, because I was trying to solve, math question and answer kind, problem and answer kind of way. But I felt that really hindered me, and I stopped doing that. And I started thinking more towards the data science, like why are we, where would I use this, and how am I going to use it? So I don't think so anyone has to be afraid or like, concerned more about it. Do it like in a way that you understand your algorithm more, what's going on under the hood.
Okay. And how does the life of a data scientist look like day-to-day responsibilities? Or you can also say what kind of work currently, what use case you're doing in the company.
Yeah. So I work at Gojek, and I am from GoFood team. So we are like, it's a food a delivery service. So I would say on a day-to-day basis, I would like majorly it would include like cleaning data or or getting the free features created to begin with. You'll be given a bunch of raw data and you have to make sense out of it and create the features. I think that's really important skill to learn, which I think I missed while I was preparing. Um, and getting the data in, cleaning it, doing some EDA, finding insights like is there something faulty or what are the trends that are being followed, and then build the model, tune it, and decide what are your evaluation metrics gonna be. Because I feel there we have like some standard evaluation metrics like R square for regression and accuracy or precision for our classification, but we it's way more than that. It's very product specific. So getting the proper evaluation metrics is really important, and choosing what would work for you is really important, then tuning it according to it. And then also the model has to be explainable, because you'll have to explain like why this is the top feature, or how is it affecting it, can we use it or not, or if there are any changes that we can do in a product. So that is really important, the model explainability. Again, that depends on the company. Maybe some don't need it. So that's it. And also deployment. I think deployment like MLOps has huge scope. Um, yeah, that requires a little bit of CS concepts, but I feel it should not be that hard. It's very doable and it's very fun. We have to look at it in a fun way. I feel that's how I learned. It's everywhere. I mean, machine learning is everywhere, right from the Zoom call to my work. So I think the more we understand, the more fun it is.
Okay. So this will be the last question. And after this, if you have any question to me, you can ask. So given a chance to go back to your college days till now, how, like, what thing you would like to, I would say, like, mistake not commit or change, so that obviously we do a lot of mistake in our journey and we learn from that. So what would be that?
I think I would first of all not go with electronics, but then again, that's a decision I made, so it's all right. Um, I would say regarding data science specifically, I would um, try to reach out more in the initial stages, because I would just randomly do stuff like, I would be like, hey, this algorithm is nice, I'll fit it into my data, because who cares? Like, I would never transform it or never clean it or anything. I was like, I have data, I'm gonna fit on it and see what happens. So I think I never had a proper structure or proper math base. I'm from engineering, so I did have some math base, but I could not understand how it works, with the algorithm. So I think I would reach out more and try to focus more on that, and have a structure, have a mentor that I can reach out to. Just having, someone that you can reach out to for doubts helps a lot. Obviously, you can Google stuff, but there could be something which is very, specific to you. And you might not realize it, but a mentor can find it out in you. Like, they'll have a better understanding on what's going on. So I think that's something I would do. I would find a mentor and have a proper structure and do projects, like actual projects, not just fitting data and be like, hey, it's done. Like, have it validated, show it to someone and ask, like, is it correct? Any changes that you would do, and also look at others' codes. This is what I would do.
Okay, that's great. That's all from my side.
Yeah.
If you have anything to ask, you can ask.
Yeah. Sure. Can you tell me a bit about your startup? I did see you have a startup.
Okay, so it's pretty much of helping people get a job in data science field. So like you, I also started from very basic. I have no clue how to start. You at least started in your college days. I came to know about machine learning when I joined TCS. Like, that's my first company. So from there I started learning. So I found actually there were a lot of very expensive courses in the market. So I did learn using self-learning the way you did. So I wanted this thing to be given to the people outside, so that people like me can get this learning at very affordable price in a very good manner. The content should be industry standard, and the contents are more practical oriented, as you said, a project based learning.
Yeah.
So that way we have designed it. And yeah, so we are right now we have 8,000 plus learners. We are now also building app for it. So a lot of things are there. Very, as you said, it's fun. So here also it's too much fun.
Yeah, I think that really helps a lot of people, because once we don't have a structure and we don't have a direction, we'll be all over the place. And we would just be stuck in the loop of, doing that, this. But once we have a structure, we can finish it in like a given period of time and get good results rather than doing everything.
Okay, so we'll close this. Thank you, Lavanya. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you, viewers, for having patience and watching this. And hope you got to learn a lot of this from this podcast. And if you liked it, click the like button and subscribe channel. And we will come up with more podcasts in future. Bye bye.